Hello, everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of me spilling all of the tea about another Webtoon platform that I have recently discovered and I've been investigating. We're going to be talking about Dashtoon Studio. Quick disclaimer, I just want to put this out there as always that these are my opinions, and although they may be based off of articles, take everything I say with a grain of salt. And of course, if more information comes out that puts what I say into a different light, I'll be happy to make any adjustments or amends to whatever I say. So, what is Dashtoons? Wow. Okay. So did not realize like we were all around the world right now. The time zones are so crazy. I promise I will do my best to try and keep mixing up streams so that you guys can be able to attend at a more convenient time for yourselves. So let's talk about what Dashtoon is specifically. So this is quoted from a website that I found, and I really felt that they summed up exactly what Dashtoon was really well. So they said it is an AI-powered comic creation platform that simplifies the comic making process. It offers a character library, or the option to create your characters, various art styles to choose from, and AI native tools for tasks like converting storyboards into comics, removing backgrounds, fixing faces, and upscaling images. This platform enables comic creators to effortlessly produce their comics, making it quick and easy to get started. So it is 1:30 p.m. over here. So with all of that being said, like this is a very heavily focused AI platform, and it basically is, I guess in a nutshell, you write a story as a writer, and then you use their platform to generate all of the images for your comic. So there's no artist actually involved in this process, at least from my understanding. Like, I guess an artist could be involved to an extent, like, but we'll get into that later. But it is 100, like, all the visuals are AI focused. And so what we're going to look at is we're going to watch their YouTube video that breaks down how they do their process, and then we're going to look at 2 articles about Dashtoon that I found to be pretty enlightening and things that I feel makes this company feel like it's going to be around for a while. Adagong, you've already said no. It's an absolute no for you. Okay, so here is the YouTube video.
Webtoons are the hottest way to experience your favorite stories, all in a vertical format perfect for your phone. Want to create your own webtoon? You're in the right place. Making a webtoon can be daunting. You need to brainstorm characters, perfect each shot, capture expressions, poses, backgrounds, and then color everything. Sounds time-consuming, right? That's why we developed...
So I just need to pause in between some of this stuff just because I feel like I need to comment on it. Like, yes, any creative process is going to take a lot of work. It's going to be, very intensive and involved, even if you're only doing the writing process or only doing the art process. And so to me, it kind of makes it seem like, it's so much work. We're simplifying it for you. No, like some things deserve hard work, in my opinion.
Dashtoon Studio, a revolutionary free AI-powered tool to make webtoon creation a breeze. With Dashtoon Studio's cutting-edge technology, you get the ultimate sidekick to help you craft stunning webtoons effortlessly. Stick around to see how easy it can...
Okay, if you look on the screen right now, I know a lot of you guys just listen to me, but please look at the screen. So this was an AI generated image for this person's like sketch or storyboard. Like if we rewind by like a few seconds, so we can see it here. Oh, here. So this is what they kind of sketched in, and then the AI tool was like, okay, I'm going to craft an image to look like this, and then we see that the image ends up looking like this.
See how easy it can be.
That's just Shrek. Like, that's literally Shrek, a copyrighted character. Like, I'd have to look up the logistics for it, but I feel like this is 100% no. And this being an example in the ad on like how to create a webcomic using their platform isn't necessarily a good look because it's generating something that is copyright looking, which opens up, I feel like, a lot of legalities to the artist. Like the artist can even be like, oh, I sat there and I made this up out of my head, like it just happens to be that way. No, you used a program to make this. So I feel like that could be a little bit of, you know, some logistics that need to be fixed if they're trying to make this morally or ethically usable.
But how do you make a whole comic using the platform? Step 1. Prep. Plan out your panels. Choose the art style for your webtoon. And then select the characters. You can also train your own characters on Dashtoon Studio. Step 2. Images.
Okay, so I will say I do like the fact that they said that there is an option for you to train your own characters, but then I also feel like there's another side to that coin. You're feeding their AI machine, which I feel like in probably their TOS, which I haven't read it, but there's possibly or in the future going to be some sort of clause that's like you're helping train our AI and therefore we have access to the images that you upload to it to keep producing and using in our catalog of AI generated images. So some clarity on that would be nice. Like I'm trying to be very fair in the way I'm talking about their platform because I don't want to necessarily assign any sort of negative connotation to them yet, just because I feel like I need to actually like investigate fully further into like how they're getting their images.
Generate your panels by selecting the mode you want. Text to image, storyboard to comic, or live mode. Watch this video to learn how our image generation technology works in detail. Step 3. Edits. Now, we've got some images that are close to what we want, but not quite perfect. Here's where the editing tools come in. There are many ways to take an image that's almost what you want and tweak it until it's exactly right. Let's try making the cape a bit longer. First, select the brush tool to paint it. Once done, select the mask tool to mask the painted area for inpainting. Next, set the number of images you want to generate, then set the strength value. The strength option controls how closely the AI follows your image. A higher strength means the AI will make more changes, while a lower strength keeps it closer to the original image. Let's set it to around 0.4 and enter the prompt. Now let's click In Paint. Now, let's change the background while keeping the character. We'll use the Remove Background tool. Just click on the tool and wait for the magic to happen. As you can see, the character is now separated. Simply drag and drop it in your desired frame or image. Step 4. Bubbles and dialogues. Add your dialogue bubbles, dialogues, and narration wherever you want. You can also customize the fonts, sizes, and color using our comprehensive set of tools. Step 5. Finishing touches. Add the background and finishing touches to finalize your webtoon. Step 6. Share away. Once you're done and can't wait for the world to see your work, hit publish. You can also right-click and download your comic and publish it anywhere you want. Select any image from your page and right-click on it. Use the Set as Thumbnail option to set the selected image as a thumbnail for your Dashtoon. After you're finished, click the Publish button to enter Publish mode. Here you'll see a preview of your final Dashtoon. Fill in the details like the title, genres, tropes, and description. Then click the Publish button again. There we have it, your Dashtoon published on the app for the world to see. Click on the link to view it and share. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel to learn how to use AI to up your comic creation game, and follow Dashtoon Studio on socials to stay up to date on all the newest features and for content on how to use them. Join our Discord and be a part of our comic creators community. See you in the next one.
Okay, so let's just go ahead and end there, and I want to switch over to their like actual platform really quick, just so you guys can see what it looks like, and we'll look at one of the comics. Which if you see a comic on the screen there that you want us to look at, let me know in the comments so that we can address it. But basically, I just wanted to show you guys that so you could see like that is from them. That is not something like that's not my like filtered opinion. Like you could listen to everything that they said about how they plan on going about the process. And I will say that in the little video, the comic did look pretty good, like pretty decent. Like it had a lot of flowing panels, had a lot of like, you know, little touches there that made the comic, I think, look very polished. But at the end of the day, I feel like it's one of those situations where it's like y'all are creating like a huge possible problem for like artists. Like it's essentially eliminating an entire field, more or less, for creatives, because even if you are just a writer, like it's eliminating the art side of comic making. And so if you're just a writer, you have your lane already of being a novelist. Like comics, you don't have to do it. So oh, you guys had a lot to say, which I'm gonna run through the comments, but I just wanted to say, like, I feel like there is a lot of potential in the positive for this, and there's a lot of potential in the negative for it, especially considering the ecosystem of Webtoon and comic creators already. Okay, so wait, what are you guys talking about? Let's see. Okay, I'm gonna start with Magic Lands. Magic Lands said, I just want AI to do my taxes for me so I can live and make my comic in peace. This AI stuff is just too much. It's really getting a little out of hand, in my opinion. Like, it's like AI basically does everything. Like, do you do anything? Because they do have like AI novel writing programs as well. So it's just like, so if I get that, it's gonna write the novel for me. And then if I get this, then it's gonna make the comic for me, essentially. So it's like, where do we draw the line? Like at what point is like, could you even put your name on it? Like if it's doing all the writing, if it's doing all the drawing, like you might as well just not even have creators attached to the project. Adagong said, I wonder how they try and counter that. Have the guys behind the app actually even tried making a comic? So there is an article that we're going to look at that talks about their backgrounds, and from what I've ascertained, I don't think they're comic makers. I think the idea sparked in them because of how the recent market is going and how they're seeing like how lucrative comics and webtoons are. Chain said there is a counter, just hire someone to draw for you. Yeah, see, they're trying to eliminate that completely. But I feel like this app or this function is specifically targeted to writers, and I'm like, hey, if you don't want to go through paying or learning the skill to do it yourself, I feel like this is an unfair advantage to give to people completely. Like, could you use it to help you somewhat? Yes. Like, you could use it for storyboards, or you could use it to like give to an artist to like so that they have a more clear vision of what to work off of. But I feel like it's just completely eliminating so many jobs. Like there's so many aspects to comics. There's lettering, there's the coloring, there's the inking, there's the storyboards. Like all of those are like positions that someone can have. So it's just kind of wild to me. Adagong says, and I'm guessing this is what they'll say, it's too expensive. AI is cost effective, which it is, but I also feel like there has to be some sort of ethical moral line. Lucky Loser said, also, you can't copyright any AI created images. I think if this is directed to the writer community, they may not care as much if it skyrockets their IP to higher lengths for them to pull in more cash. Chains said, I think it would be funny to try this out and see what the app shoots out for me. Then I'll roast it in a video. Chains, please do that. I would love for you to play around with this. And if you do, let me know so I can link it to this video so that people can watch that and see, like, you know, you as a webcomic artist, as an animation professional, like what your honest critique and thoughts are on their platform. Lucky said, this comic won't be yours. You wouldn't be able to protect it either. Yeah, you can't protect it. At least I don't think so. Because even if it was like, let's say it generated something that, you know, there's really nothing like it on the market, I think Dashtoon would own it over you. Like, even if it was like attached to your IP. Chain said, oh, I thought they write the story for you as well. No, so Dashtoon doesn't write the story. You have to bring the story. And that's why I feel like they're specifically targeting the writer community. And I feel like that's why a lot of people haven't heard about them, because they've been around for a while. Adagong said, Saul Base has emphasized the importance of developing good drawing skills, because that's how you'll be able to get your ideas out and show others, especially your partners, what you're aiming for. Right. But if you're not an artist, because they're directing this at writers, then it doesn't really matter to them, because the way they get their ideas out is through writing. So like this app, I feel like it's more so made for people who are trying to upgrade their drawing skills, not drawing skills, upgrade their writing IP. So, because like having a comic does tap into a different market, and I do think that is a smart idea. Like, you're really giving your story the biggest chance of success. Lucky said, oh, okay. Y'all are talking to each other. Got it, grad. Lucky said, I also recognize some of this art. This has already been reused, some of these images multiple times, so all of this is old stuff too. Adagong said, couldn't writers just write prose instead of using AI to make comics? They'd have to pay. So I think that that's where this is kind of cutting out the payment process. Like, a lot of writers are already struggling. Like, just think about like Webtoon creators. Like, a lot of Webtoon creators are struggling. A lot of writers are struggling too. So paying for another person or an artist to also make a whole comic for you would be a lot. Okay, so let's look at this comic, and I just want to show you how it looks. Like, it does have, you know, like, I feel like you can tell like some of the images are stretched. Would this bother me as a reader? No. I would think, I'd be like, oh, the image is a little grainy here. They need to adjust the resolution. But like, it doesn't look bad. Like, the bubbles are spaced out well. The onomatopoeia is large. Coloring is decent. Like, I feel like it's conveying like different senses of emotion. Like, everything reads clearly for the most part. So you can just see on the screen like how the actual comic looks, what the vibe is, how detailed the artwork is from the generation. Okay, and so that's the end of the first episode. So I just wanted to show that to you guys just so that you could have a idea of what it looks like. I will say, if you are interested in learning more about them and giving them a fair shake, because I want to try and, you know, give fair shakes to companies, because as you guys know, I personally am not fully against AI. I think that there's a balance to using it in the creative process. I don't necessarily think this is it from my research, but I feel like, you know, this could be helpful in certain areas to kind of speed along the process for creators if they need it. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, if I need it, I could use it, sort of thing. So, and like I said, I could also see writers using it to kind of convey how they want their comic to look if they were to hire an artist. So let's look at this article, and it's from the TechCrunch. Okay, Magic Lens said, maybe it could help with background assets like Clip Studio assets do, but I hate the idea of it possibly taking away sales and opportunities of creators who sell those assets that they make. Chang said, I just want to know how much influence the generation had over the art, though, and what is their own personal art. I feel like that's hard to assess because we're going to get into it. So let's look at this article. And so it says Dashtoon uses AI to turn storytellers into comic artists. Dashtoon wants to make anyone with a story to tell into a comic artist, even if they can't draw. It provides aspiring comic creators with a suite of generative AI tools and a publishing platform that releases new episodes daily for impatient readers. So I think this is a key word. They're talking about impatient readers. They're talking about releasing daily episodes, which would be a complete difference from the Webtoon model in terms of like your favorite series would release one episode every day. To seed the platform called Dashtoon Comic Reader, Dashtoon commissioned about 30 comics. So it's saying like Dashtoon paid for 30 comics to be made. So I do think that's also different if I'm reading this correctly. Like to me, that reads as they paid to have 30 original comics made. And we'll start adding almost 1,000 new episodes every month. That's a lot of episodes. It started monetization in October and expects to make 15,000 in revenue during the first month, with plans to grow to 100,000 per month over the next 2 to 3 months. That's a lot. So to start from 15,000 and then to bump up to 100,000 in the next 2 to 3 months. And this article was released in, where's the date? I thought I saw a date on this. So this was in November. So that's super duper crazy. Like really crazy. Um the startup operates on a freemium model that gives users one free episode a day for each comic. So similar to FastPass. The San Francisco and London-based startup announces today it has raised $5 million in seed funding led by Matrix Partners India and Stellaris Venture Partners with participation from angel investors. So they've actually raised more money than this. I think the last document that I saw, they had raised over 10 million. So they've raised a lot of money. So they have a lot of money to pay for like commissioning artists and feeding their AI machine to do this ethically. So let's just keep reading. So it says Dashtoon was founded in December 2022. So that means that it's almost 2 years old. I don't want to mispronounce any of their names, so if I do, I'm sorry, but these are their names here highlighted. I'm just not familiar with the pronunciation, so I'll try to pronounce them correctly because they do bring them back up throughout the article. But there they are. So it says before Dashtoon, Nareen and Gudi Patai were on the founding team of Pocket FM. So just the pause right there. If you guys do not know what Pocket FM is, so I've used Pocket FM. One of a series that I really enjoyed this year, probably my favorite series of the year, my Vampire System. It was a daily novel, so it would release like one chapter every day. The chapters weren't very long, they were like 7 minutes, in listening time because it was an audio sort of thing. I don't know if Pocket FM had a reading part on it where like you could just read it if you want it. I just listened to it anyway. Long story short, it was pretty popular, and they were doing ads for a while, and it followed the same model, so I'm kind of familiar with what they're talking about. Basically, your favorite series, they would have an episode, so many episodes available for you to listen to or to read each day, and those were the only free ones for the day, and if you wanted to listen to the other ones, then you had to pay. So like I said, very similar to the FastPass model, and so I can see how this idea kind of started to spark with them because Pocket FM really started to take off. And I could tell they were taking off because of some of the advertisements they were doing. But let's just continue. And it says where they worked on growing the Indian-based audio content platform in the United States. I don't know how to say his name at all. Merker comes from a deep tech background, including Morpho Labs, which builds diagnostic robots. So I think they have a really good team that has like a lot of, very talented people behind it, people who were helping to expand, a company that's already very similar to the company that they were using. And then, this individual who's like very smart with technology. So I think that sets it up for a really good team. It's This is where I'm like, I see talented people. I like it. I like to hear about talented people behind a web comic platform. And so this is where I'm like, I feel like this is where it's like we're not reading the room the same in terms of like how using AI can affect like the actual comic makers. I think possibly their idea is like we can exist alongside of you, but I also kind of feel like in order to do it morally or ethically, there might need to be some tweaks where people like artists are not like losing their mind over this. I just don't necessarily agree. And I guess that's the easiest way to say it. And I feel like we can all stand together and be like, I don't necessarily like how this sounds. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I see potential for the idea behind it, but I just don't agree with the execution. I think that's the best way to put it. So, moving forward, Narain tells TechCrunch that the idea behind Dashtoon was planned while he and Gudi Patai were working on Pocket FM. They did a marketing experiment using, and I remember this. This is actually what got me to click on listening or downloading Pocket FM. They did a marketing experiment using comic strips to promote Pocket FM serialized audio content on the platform like Facebook and were surprised how well the campaigns did. We knew then that there was latent demand from US consumers to read digital comics, so I decided to spend some time in Korea to understand how the ecosystem works, says Narain. I realized that comic creation needs very high skills, and developing a creator ecosystem in a new geography would take a lot of time and require a huge investment. That changed when DAL E2 was released, pushing text to image AI models forward, Midjourney and stability. AI also changed the world of AI generated art. Narain and Gudipatai decided that it was a good time to start working on a platform that could create production quality comics with AI. And then I'm still not sure how to pronounce this. So Merker J joined as CTO to build Dashtoon's AI creation suite, which the company says enables anyone to turn their story ideas into digital comics. Then they can distribute and monetize them through Dashtoon Comic Reader. Dashtoon is targeted at existing writer communities. So this is really important. And this is why I feel like there was like a lot of strategy put behind this, which there should be in any sort of business venture. You need to be really smart about what you're doing and know who you need to target. Because I feel like if they targeted comic artists would have lost their mind. But so they're targeting writers. So there's a lot of writers that are just like, I'm not going to draw no matter what. Like maybe I'll draw on the side here and there, but I'm never going to invest in this skill enough to do like my own illustrations, to do like any sort of, visual representation of my characters. So I feel like that's why this community was targeted, because even if they were into art, I feel like a lot of writers probably are not into it enough to want to make a comic. Lucky said, it def sounds shady as I originally thought. Agreed, I still don't like it, but I just see what they see why writers would be tempted for sure. Yeah, I think if I was solely a writer, I would be very interested in this, and I think it would be a really cool concept. And I do think it's kind of fun to play around with, but I also feel like it opens the door for a lot of issues. Okay, so anyway, targeted at existing writer communities who want to turn their stories into comics, but don't have skills like sketching or lettering. To use Dashtoon Studio, a creator first uploads their storyboard. Then they pick characters for each panel from Dashtoon's character library or upload photos and drawings to generate images. The startup founder says this reduces the time it takes to create an episode from 40 to 50 hours to just 5 to 6 hours, which is insane. You take a process of 40 to 50 hours to 5 to 6 hours, any business person involved in this would be interested. They're like, yes, I would love this. I would love if my artist could release an entire episode in one day. But it gets crazier. This means episodes can be published daily, increasing Dashtoon's chances of producing a hit. In the future, Dashtoon plans to add features enabling creators to generate storyboards and dialogues with AI. Two, which means this will reduce the time it takes to create an episode to under an hour. Under an hour. So literally, what did you do? Like you just like clicked a button and it just auto generates everything for you. Like I feel like after you've selected your characters, you selected maybe like the type of environment or city you want it to be in, it just literally generates it for you. I do think like if it does become to that level, it could get to a point where, inputting your script and just having like I could see someone inputting their script, not using any of their characters or anything, but then having it to like generate the storyboards for you could help with like visualization a little bit. Like maybe if you're stuck and you're like, I really want to create something to like help this flow or help this move or something like that, then I could see some use in it that way, but it still gives me pause. Oh, hi Shay. Thanks for joining. So glad you could be here. So there's a picture of the team and see they're all young. Like I feel like they give off good vibes. Like I'm very, I would like to work with them. Like that's the type of like if I see these faces, I'd be like, yeah, yeah. I don't get any red flags from them. So it says while Dashtoon Studio uses AI to generate storyboards and dialogues, that doesn't mean there is no creativity involved, says Narain. Imagine generative AI as an agent that can do labor intensive tasks for you or present you with various options, but the real creative work will have to be done by humans. Content creators still write stories and conceptualize characters before training them on Dashtoon Studio so they can be used in different poses and expressions. While generative AI is being integrated into more creative tools like Google's Productive Studio and Canva, many people, especially artists, remain skeptical about AI art. Narain says the founding team's biggest fear was that readers would not enjoy AI generated content, but the reception has been good so far. So I just want to pause. Oh, Chains said he's trying it out as we speak. Let us know what you think, Chains. I'm very interested. Witches Brew says, I think that is just gonna oversaturate the market, to be honest. There is a thing as too much content. I agree with that. There's already too much content. So it is kind of already becoming an issue. Oh, okay, Janisha, we're not going to tell anybody that you're here, but so glad you could be here. Hello, hello. So I will say, this is something that I've always kind of thought is, where is it? About readers. So in this paragraph, I don't think readers necessarily care to an extent. As long as it doesn't look bad, it doesn't really bother them. So, and even if it did look bad, like, it would only look bad depending on how it's marketed, because like there's a lot of amateur comics that don't necessarily look great in terms of the art style. So but you don't hear them being blasted all the time. People just kind of are like, oh, okay, not for me, and they move on. So I feel like that's where there's a lot of issues that come in with this, is because like one, the readers probably aren't going to care that much. Like certain readers might. There are people that are, very particular about art style that are readers, but I also feel like majority of them, like let's say 70% out of 100, I mean, that's still a success, based off of the numbers. But see, I think what I disagree with is they're talking about it being ethical, and they're talking about especially artists remain skeptical about AI. And then that's followed up, which this could just be the positioning of how whoever wrote the article is. But if this was just flowing in the conversation, you're talking about artists, and then it switches from like, we're very concerned about artists being skeptical about AI art, and then they talk about our biggest fear though is readers. That does not correlate to me. Like, your biggest fear should be artists, like artists worrying about their work being stolen, or scraping stolen images or images that look too similar to already established IP so that you can get sued. Because who owns Shrek? Is that DreamWorks? Like, DreamWorks could sue the brakes off of you, and like you wouldn't have anything left to run your business. Like, that's something that I would be terrified about. Like, we're basically an image generation platform. I would be really concerned about licensed images being generated. Witches Brew said, lately, I've seen a lot of pushback against AI art, even from non artists, so I don't know how well it might actually do. Well, it's been running for 2 years, so we'll have to see when it enters into the overall markets, like for normal consumers, and then kind of base things off of there. Artsumi said, I don't like the overly perfect look of AI images. So I'm already turned off by the story visuals. It could be a great story, but not look unique. Well, that's why I want to show you, which maybe you missed the Artsumi Shay, but they generate, if this is all their generated content, it has very vast and different looks. Like, a lot of them don't necessarily all look like super polished, super AI generated. Like, some of it looks very normal to me, like this one, If I Never Loved You. And so if we just take a second to look at this, like, it looks like it does look a little generated somewhat, but I could also see this being like on canvas. Like, I could see this being, someone's story that they're developing. Like, it's very stylized. Like, it doesn't necessarily look like, overly AI crafted. Like, I know what you mean, Shay. I'm just using this as an example to show that. Okay, so moving back to the paragraph, it says most of the AI products are basic wrappers, and the content they produce is very mechanical in nature, which means the creator has very limited control over the final output. He says, adding that Dashtoon avoids that by giving creators complete control over their final product. He says that many comic fans understand that humans cannot release a new episode every day, but there is a shift in consumer behavior where they do want daily releases, like binge watching Netflix, and are okay with AI generated content as long as it's enjoyable. And I would agree with his assessment. I think that's a very fair statement. I do think, like, people, one of a big complaint I've seen from originals creators is that they talk about the fact that sometimes they'll get comments from people like, this episode is too short, or where's the next episode, or I can't believe you're taking a break, and all of that stuff, because like they don't necessarily understand or care or want to investigate why it's taking so long. And so it makes it to a point where, the market is definitely leaning towards a very specific way. I'm trying to see where I left off at. Arsumi said, also, who's to say the stories isn't written with Chat GPT? If you go as far as to use AI for your images, who's to say you won't also write it with that? Oh, hi, Joe. It has been so long. I'm so glad you could join us stream. I hope you're having a good time. I miss you, bestie. Arsumi say, okay, yeah, you're just responding probably to what I showed you earlier. Another criticism of AI generated content is that a lot of it's based off of stolen work from artists. So this is probably one of the big points that I think all of you would want to like pay attention to. And so this is kind of the bread and butter, I feel like, of the article. They said, for example, Stability AI, Midjourney, and DeviantArt were sued by artists who said the companies misused their copyrighted artwork. Narain says Dashtoon prevents copyright infringement with several measures. One is seeing its characters library seeding its character library internally with its own IP, introducing digital artwork, hand-drawn characters, and photos. Stories also have to be the IP of its creator or Dashtoon. And the company may eventually train its own foundation models, partnering with data providers who don't break copyright law. Okay, that is a lot to digest. So, like I said, what I kind of take away from this is like it does seem like they're trying to be morally conscious and be ethical with the way they're taking these images. And so they're saying that in order to do this, first, they're creating their own character library. So I guess commissioning artists. Okay. Then they're saying that the creator has to own the IP. So like if you're uploading your own characters, they shouldn't be, you know, anything copyrighted, no Disney, no Marvel, none of that stuff. And then if it's not those characters, then Dashtoon has is using their own characters. And then they're saying that they may eventually train or not train this part where they're saying that they may partner with data providers. So let's say they partner with Instagram. How will you like people upload copyrighted stuff onto there all the time? Like, I would like to know who you're planning to partner with. Oh no, again, I did not have this plugged up. Sorry about that. So that would also be a concern of mine. Like, yes, but who's really, looking through these images to make sure that they aren't breaking copyright law? Because even if a creator uploads it themselves, creators do make mistakes. And sometimes something we see gets stuck in our head that we don't remember. And then we draw it out and we're like, we love this. And then 10 years later, we're like, oh, this character was based off of Goku. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there could be a lot of instances where I just see there being potential issues. Because then we get into, well, what was the intent? Were they intentionally trying to break the law? Was this an accident? And that's just too much in the weeds for me. So Adagon said, honestly, if waiting for a comic to release a new chapter is the problem, why couldn't readers go check out other comics in the meanwhile whilst they wait? You support other artists on the go. In theory, that is, a really good idea, Adagong, and I agree with that. But the thing of it is like people don't like to explore sometimes when it comes to like TV shows or media. They kind of like to stick to what they know. At least that's been my experience and that's my opinion on it. Like, after looking through, let's say, Webtoons or Canvas and you're not finding what you want, you kind of get tired of that and you feel like you're wasting your time. Whereas you could just wait for new episodes. Chain said, you can generate a whole story here, writing, art, panels. So you just have to hit like 3 buttons and you have a story. Doubt this copyright free though. Oh, dang. So it does do the writing for you? I thought you had to at least have the script. That's insane. Chains, we're waiting for the video, please. Like, go ahead and upload it for us. Arsumi said, true, I follow a lot of creators. If there's no release on that day, there's like 3 other comics I could look at. So many childhood stories I wrote thinking they were original ideas. Yes, yes, yes. That's very common. Like, we're inspired by things without even knowing it sometimes. Like, we don't even realize like how much we like something. You know what I'm saying? Like, you could be inspired by Sailor Moon, or you could be inspired by even like, live action stuff. And like your character ends up looking like, Elizabeth Olsen. Well, you don't have a right to, impersonate her without her permission. So we're traveling into a lot of weeds again. And that's what I don't like. Okay, so we don't have much left in this article. So they say, I'm trying to pick up from where we left off. There are other digital comic distribution platforms, including Marvel Unlimited and Webtoon. Noreen says Dashtoon differentiates with its content library and episode release rate. It also wants to stand apart by building a native creator community. So, for writers, remember, not comic artists. The last decade in content industry was defined by the distribution of content, says Noreen, and the next decade will be defined by the distribution of content creation. I agree with that. He adds that Dashtoon presents an alternative to traditional labor-intensive methods of comic creation and distribution, which involved writers either learning how to do art themselves or hire a third party and then sell on Amazon and other marketplaces. I love how they say they're like, writers have to learn how to do art themselves or hire a third party. Why can you say hire artists? Like that just makes it sound so much colder, which maybe like it's quoted up here but not down here. So I'm guessing that's like what the article people are saying, which they're right. I mean, there are like companies you can hire, but it just makes it seem so cold to me. Dashtoon will first focus on long form content in genres like romance, drama, and fantasy. Then, as more creators onboard, it plans to expand into other genres with fiction, nonfiction, and short form illustration content. In terms of creators, Dashtoon plans to first focus on working with published writers to convert their stories into digital comics and graphic novels for publication on Dashtoon Comic Reader before building a community of creators that publish first on the platform. Okay, so what I don't like about this is if you do decide to partner with them and you do end up getting some sort of like comic that you're really proud of and you want to release, basically the way this sounds is like Dashtoon 100% owns it and that you can't distribute it anywhere else but on Dashtoon. In a statement about the investment, uh, Stellaris Venture Partners principal Naaman Lahorty said that content consumption on mobile phones has grown from an average of 45 minutes per day in 2011 to 4 hours per day in 2021. Thanks to new content formats like short form videos, audio, OTT, podcasts, and casual games, looking ahead, we anticipate that webcomics will emerge as the next wave of growth. He added, as pioneers in this domain, Dashtoon is posed to lead the charge with the founder possessing a perfect mix of content, tech, and global user acquisition experience and skills required to build the business. So, like I said, I do think their team is very talented, and I do think that they possibly could set themselves up with a business that really would dominate in the US to an extent and could really generate like a lot of revenue for them. And with them not having to pay artists, with them not having to pay, other companies, they cut out a lot of cost. And so them just having to pay, a writer, like let's say, they go after people who've already written the books but aren't necessarily selling on the platform, but they feel like it's a good fit for their platform. They literally could offer them, let's say they offer, them 50,000 plus, back end, like you'll get a monthly check. That's not a lot of loss to them in the long term because like, okay, we've paid you, or let's even say, they pay more. In the long term, they're doing like a one-time payment and then just generating money, so much money off of your story. I don't know what the model would really look like because like after they've acquired the series, like how much more they'll be involved. Like, does the writer completely adopt the story? Like, I would like to know that model. Like, will they have Dashtoon originals? Like, what's the vibe here? Okay, this is the last thing I wanted to show you guys, and then, I've almost used up a lot of my time for my break, but I just love talking with you guys. So Adagon said, so many people don't tend to like taking risks and exploring what's out there. Depressing. It can be. It can be. Usero says, with the introduction of AI into webcomics, I feel like it will take the respect from artists who actually draw and write the comics. It's just sad that artists get disrespected like this. See, that's why I feel like there needs to be some sort of regulation on it. I do see possibly a path forward because, like, when traditional artists felt threatened by the wave of digital, it ended up being where digital and traditional were able to, be side by side sort of thing. And like traditional artists, for a long time did not allow like digital art into galleries. So I wonder if like there'll have to be more development, there'll have to be more, involved to see like what the balancing for this is, because I do think at the end of the day there is a lot of value in artists and people will see that to an extent because that's part of like there's so many stories about the creation of art like that I feel like I just want to be positive about it and be like, AI is not going to ruin this field. Like it's just very, very insane. Adding on said, artists making ideas based off of other ideas is also about how the artist interprets that idea. What they interpret in term of what elements stood out to them and how they interpreted the themes as well. Yes, yes, yes. I agree. Chain said, yeah, this gonna be my next video idea. Gonna hit people with that clickbait. I'm an AI artist now. Oh, Chains. Oh, Chains. I can't wait. I'm definitely gonna pop in for that one for sure. Atagong says, so this AI art business taking advantage of our internet and fast scrolling culture, isn't it? Yes, yes. It 100% is, Atagong. Like, that's any business is trying to take advantage of the current market and the current behaviors of the market. So this is the one thing that I feel like kind of really, really solidifies to me, like how much I could see Dashtoon growing in the future and why I feel like there needs to be a lot of regulation for this is it talks about how they're partnering with Google. And so I'm not going to read this whole article, but basically it says via a press release, Google subsidiary Google Korea and Korean Webtoon Industry Association KWIA have entered into a licensing agreement with the American Webtoon platform Dashtoon. So I feel like they're getting paid some money for this. And that just goes to show like they're partnering with really big companies and they're trying to like really really push their platform forward, which I mean, hey, that's great that you're able to build your business. I just think like some consideration towards people who are in the field, like the comic artists, the colorists, the storyboarders, some of that would really help them because I feel like it's really eliminating a lot of jobs for people. But I would love to hear Dashtoon's honest thoughts on, how AI is replacing those jobs for people. Like I'm very curious about that. And like I said, I'm trying to give them a fair shake because I don't necessarily disagree with AI completely. As you guys know, I've talked about it before. Like I can see a lot of benefits to helping people, like helping their workflow. I don't see it as replacing the workflow, but I do see it as, in certain areas you could use it to help you. So I really want some balancing for that. I really do. And, if some people feel like, hey, I don't think it should be used at all anywhere, period, then I understand that too. Like it's very scary. So what does this mean? What do I see from this? User said if AI is handled correctly, I could see it working, but I don't know if people in charge actually will. They already tried to short creators with pay, so will AI. I feel like it will get harder for pay fairly. Yeah, yeah, it's going to be crazy. Like I feel like the creative fields might suffer for a while. Okay, what does this mean? I do think that maybe this could embolden Webtoon a little bit because they're if this partnership goes over really well and they blow up really big, this creates a huge incentive for Webtoons to do better. For Webtoons to be the more ethical one, for Webtoons to be the one that people turn to, like I'm talking about the platform, turn to for help and turn to for, creators actually having a safe space and not being, just kicked around and taken advantage of. I do think that there needs to be a little more reading the room because the art community and even like I don't know why there's such a disconnect between writers and artists, but I feel like there needs to be a meeting of the mind. But I think there needs to be a reading of the room with the platform. Like they need to just like kind of do a little more tests, like talk to more artists, more creators, and really give feedback. And I do think that if like people actually tell them like artists, hey, I how are you getting your images? Like you said that, but everything that you've advertised so far looks like AI generated images that are already available and out. Like we want to see your actual catalog. Like we want to actually see like references. You remember like in high school or middle school or whatever, like whenever you quoted something or took a source, you had to like write in the paper like the source, where you got it from, how you got it, that sort of thing. And I feel like that could go a long way. That would be a lot of work again, but I feel like in order to do it for comfort levels of people, that's what you would have to do. I do have a lot of worry for the future, and we've kind of talked about a lot of it already. But I just feel like it's going to replace a lot of people's jobs, and it's going to potentially make people feel really invalidated because they've spent so much time, so much of their life crafting these skills to perfect them, and then they have like this program come along that turns like their 40-hour process to an hour. It can come off a little insulting, to be honest. Like I don't even think I would have like told people that, like, oh, we're changing a 5-hour like I wouldn't have told anybody publicly. I would have been like, yes, we're really shortening the creation process. Yeah, like, hopefully we can get it down to half or even lower, but we really value the process, so if it takes as long as it takes, like that would be a much better answer in my opinion. Okay, so question. And so the comic is titled The Lady and the Knights. And so this is a romance historical series. It says a young girl survives the massacre of her village and the fall of the Moon Follower Empire. Rescued by two strangers, she grows up under their protection with only a mysterious necklace as a link to her past. When a charming stranger becomes intrigued by the necklace, his interest rekindles ancient dangers. As rumors reach a ruthless king who seeks to finish what he started, the girl and her new family must confront the shadows of their past and fight for their survival. And I thought the art style was so pretty. I really, really, really digged the vibe of it, digged the leading characters. Like it all looks so good, and I love that they have like a cover illustration. So amazing. Atagong said that they're reading Valentine right now, and oh hi, are you? Glad you could join. They are shouting out Space Ultima. And the new episode will be out October 30th. Very excited for that, Shay. So with that, our questions in the community is, what is your reaction to Dashtoon? Please leave me a comment down below. I would love to hear, your honest thoughts. Like if you're a reader, if you're a creator, if you're just an artist, like how do you feel about the platform? What are your thoughts? Do you think like there's a way for this platform to work with, cooperating with artists and not taking away jobs? Do you see like any potential tools that could be very useful from this platform? Do you feel like the platform should be scrapped? Like I just want to hear all the thoughts. Like please let me know. Also check out Chains' video that he's going to make. Quick thank you to our patrons. I'm very, very excited and happy to have all of the wonderful support that I have. It is amazing, and if you want some extra content, you can always check us out on Patreon, and I have a free tier on there that allows you to be able to jump in to Patreon exclusive content without having to necessarily pledge. So it's just a little bit of extra Apollo that you can get once a month. So with that, I will say thank you, and I will catch you all in the next video.